Drax.
Hi, Jack.
Not as satisfying as
No,
can.
you need a can to pull that off.
Disappointment. Sorrows, prayers.
Hi again, folks. We're back with the second half of the Witch on the Holy Night off the shelf.
I wish this was whiskey.
No whiskey for you.
I wish it was whiskey.
Any more talking, no Dr. Pepper ever again.
Okay, I will not talk anymore.
All right, then. Well, if y'all remember last time, which for you guys should be a couple months ago.
Oh, a month.
Did it just go up recently? Oh, that was about a month ago.
Yeah, it was April, about a month, not a couple of months.
Oh, but this is going up in July.
Don't think so.
July 4th, Fate Week?
I thought it was going up in June.
Fate Week's in July.
Oh, that's wrong. Okay.
That don't sound right. No, what do you know? July.
Yup.
Never mind, it has been a couple of months.
Leave it to the Fate fan to know when the Fate anniversary is every year.
How was I supposed to know?
Try harder.
No. I
So,
tried
you-
hard.
If you remember from a few months ago, we read The Witch on the Holy Night, like up through chapter 5, I think it was. And Seki's, a lot of that discussion ended up being Seki's problems with the format. Do you have any elaborated thoughts you want to put out there now while we just get them out of the way here?
The fact that the chapters get longer makes it even worse.
It's like every other book. Normally chapters do get longer as they get more, as more things are happening.
Yeah, but chapters in like one single book don't typically go from being like 30 minutes to an hour, or from being like 10 to 15 pages to being like 60 pages within the same book. Now, if you go from one book to another, you might have a significant, like, considerable rise in kind of the average size of the chapter, but typically you want to keep chapter sizes pretty consistent throughout the typical book, because it helps readability, because part of that's marketability, because not a lot of people will just read through a book in one go. Like me, a lot of people will say, I'll read a chapter, and it defeats the purpose of one chapter is 5 pages, and one chapter is 40 pages.
Fair enough.
And let me tell you, chapter breaks are a wonderful, wonderful thing in this game. Anytime a chapter ends, I'm like, yes! No, there's another one! Also, just so y'all know, I haven't done the extra content yet, so we're not going to discuss that. Because
yeah, I told her to just
we'll
stop at
separately.
the credits in chapter 13, which is like the little, like, the media afterward.
Yeah, so I'll do that, but I'm going to do it separately, so
Yeah.
we'll hit up another one of these reviews in August, likely. They'll come out in September.
My neck is warm.
That's because there's a Jax.
On my shoulder.
It's very cute. Hi, Jax. Hi. Hi. Hi.
But is it safe to say that your general disdain towards not having any choices and it being
Is
visual
continued?
novel in the
Absolutely.
strictest sense?
Is it continued? Absolutely. I cannot stand... I've discussed this with you. I've discussed this with chat recently in another stream. I at least need the semblance of autonomy. I cannot deal with this just like... I need something. You know what I mean? I need some semblance of autonomous thought ability. Like, it wouldn't even matter to me. And I do mean this genuinely. It would not matter to me if it didn't matter what choice I picked. Right? If they were just all irrelevant to the ending you get.
Mm-hmm.
Just so long as I have the autonomy of choice to make a dialogue option.
I don't know. When I'm going into this, I never even think about going into this like it's a video game. Because it's just not a video game.
But it's on PlayStation.
It's just the format of it. I could watch a movie on PlayStation. Technically, I'm sure I could jerry-rig away to read a book on a PlayStation.
But should you? The question is, should you? And the answer to that is no.
Maybe.
You should not.
I mean, I know you don't like
interminable.
ebooks as much. You've
I
gotten
don't
better
like
because you need
ebooks.
to for a lot of translated stuff. But
Yeah, but like still, the only thing that I read regularly online is fan fiction because I don't currently print and bind my fan fiction, so it's fan fiction. And then, if I don't have the ability to print out like academic articles and stuff that I'm reading, or like stuff that I just can't get a physical copy of. Yeah.
I mean, this is basically just a big ebook with pictures and music. That's what it is.
That's generous.
What would you describe it as outside of an abomination? Because I don't think most of our fan base would agree with that.
So, the year is 2010, right? A young Sekhmet has been introduced to anime. The first anime she's ever watched is Naruto, right? I've watched all of Naruto, 220 episodes, watched it at home, right? I've also discovered that YouTube exists, right? The year is 2010. A person on YouTube called Miss Sasusaku Love 13, who is still a creator on YouTube and still putting these out, puts out these videos, right? 10 to 15 minutes long, sometimes 20. Random music in the backgrounds, screenshots from the Naruto anime with text on screen denoting character talk over them. And I just sit there watching 67 parts of Sakura x Itachi, no massacre, fanfiction, but done in a video format.
Is it full fan art done, or is it just like sticking the characters in front?
Some of it's fan art, some of it's shots from the actual anime.
Fair enough.
No semblance of choice because this is a YouTube video series.
It's a video series. It's a fan fiction, but it's a format the fan fiction's being told in. I can respect that.
But that's what I mean. Like, if you posed it to me as that, I would have had less an issue with it. The fact that it's posed as a game denotes choice.
Look, I've been warning you
And
since
autonomy.
before we did this. There was no choice at all here, and that it was basically a picture
Thorn,
book.
if I hand you a video game, do you expect to be able to do something other than click next for 12 hours?
Depends. What's the game?
A visual novel called Witch on the Holy Night.
There are no choices. There's no dialogue. All you can do is click next.
Yeah, it sounds about like a visual novel.
See, you're just unprepared for the visual novel medium.
Why did y'all cringe away when I tried to show you Miss Sasusaku Loves fucking shit on YouTube then?
Because it's the subject matter. My problem's not the format, it's the subject matter. Also, I can't do visual novels on YouTube either, because YouTube's a very controlled pace. Here you can at least skip the person's voice acting, Instead of like, okay, I've read the entire thing, can we now click? No, you're going to wait 4.5 seconds before clicking?
Yeah, that's the 5-second forward button.
That's the equivalent of auto. It's hard for me to sit through the visual novel on autoplay outside of specific sections. There are some sections I can do that, not all of them.
Man, agree to disagree. This is not a medium that I enjoyed. I think there's just you knew it wasn't going to get better.
No, after that last part, I did. I did know you weren't gonna.
Yeah,
enjoy
it's
anymore.
not a medium that I am currently capable of actually enjoying. Because if I'm gonna sit there just clicking the next button, I'd rather sit there watching a YouTube video series or something, clicking the next button. You know what I mean? While someone does something on screen. I'd rather watch if the autonomy that you're gonna give me in a game is to just speed up the dialogue, right? Basically, if that's the only autonomy I have in a game, I'd quite frankly rather sit and watch a 300 episode Planet Zoo franchise mode playthrough where if I get bored at the guy not talking and doing too much building, I just click speed up on the video. And I know that I know you don't agree, but this is just it's just how it is.
The problem here is this is just a different literary medium.
And I cannot deal with it. I just can't. It's just not a literary medium that is working for me at this point in my life. Like I said, I think I'd have a different opinion if I had some autonomy of choice, but I don't. Because it's not as if I don't, enjoy games that are just, mostly dialogue with you just, flipping around in, funny, pretty screen areas. I mean, I think I'd pretty much finished it by the time you came, but the other night I was streaming Dark Parables.
So can I admit something here?
What?
I've played games like that. When I look at games like that, it reminds me of the sections I enjoy the least when I'm playing something like Ace Attorney.
What, the Dark Parables?
Yeah.
See, I like the thrown in puzzles and like stuff.
I want to be actually reading the story, and I want to be... If it is more interactive, I'd like the interaction to be a little bit more interactive than just clicking randomly on the screen.
I like the puzzles thrown in, you know? Especially when they're a little bit harder for me to figure out. And the hidden object I could do without, but like the puzzles I like.
So I just want to move forward with the story.
I'm going to be honest, I think the presence of minigames gives me a break from just sitting there and staring at text scrolling over the screen. Because like even when I'm reading like fan fiction on my phone, sometimes I need to just take a break from like scrolling through text on my phone like that. I can't. It's one of the reasons why I have less of an attention span for fan fiction than I do for real books. Because like if you sit me down with a real book, I will absolutely sit there for 6 hours not moving an inch while just paging through it. But like on fan fiction, I get distracted and I have to stop, close the app, go do something else, because just sitting there and like scrolling does not do it for me.
Okay, then I'll pose you this, knowing how you read it. Didn't you read this in like 2 or 3 bursts recently?
Yeah.
It's probably not the way to read this kind of medium if it's hard for you to sit and enjoy even fan fiction.
But I don't think I would have enjoyed reading like a chapter a night either. Cause it's just not they're spreading it out would not have endeared me to it necessarily, because nothing changes by spreading it out. It still would have been me just like sitting there and clicking through a controller button to read text on screen repeatedly, you know? It's just not my medium. Not right now. I don't have the attention span for it. Because I played like one of the chapters on its own. Like I played chapter 7 just one day, you know, and then didn't do chapter 8, 9 till the next day. It didn't make me like chapter 7 more. Even though I wasn't there for that long playing through chapter 7, it just still wasn't. It was almost worse because there was so little that I was doing that. Like, it took so little to go through the chapter, and then I was like, I'm just going to put it down and come back another day. It was almost worse. Because I am more of a binge reader in general, and a binge watcher. And, like, even when I play games, I do tend to, like, I don't, set myself a timer and say, hey, I'm going to play for, an hour and then I'm done. I'll play until I'm either too tired to keep playing, or I've finished what I want to finish, or, you know, in the case of Trade Winds, the UI is actively trying to murder me, and I'm about to murder my computer, and I need to stop. But for me, spreading things out doesn't really work so much. Like, I do need to be binging whatever it is, or playing it, in a consistent, all at one time. Because otherwise I just lose interest between days. Like I said, maybe I wouldn't have had such a problem if I had, a mini game or two, or, even let's say this. I bet I would have had a better experience. You don't even need to give me a mini game, right? You don't even have to give me dialogue choices, right? Let me run between the locations on my own. Let me just click through a map of images on my own.
See, and this is why the next visual novel, I won't be honest here, because I have been hearing this. A lot of this is in the sparks. I have been hearing you mumble and moan the last couple weeks about a lot of this.
So sorry. No, I'm not sorry. This is how I feel. I'm not sorry. It's just this is how it is.
This is why the next visual novel you're getting is actually just Ace Attorney. Not because I think you'll enjoy the story more. Genuinely, I think you actually probably get more out of the characters here if the medium wasn't killing you.
Well, to be fair, I would like to make the comment. I'm not judging the characters based on the medium.
No, we haven't talked about the story at all yet.
Yeah, we haven't actually gotten into the story. This is just the medium. I just find this particular game intolerable for me. I'm sure it's fantastic. I'm sure that all you Type Moon Nasuverse fans love it. You know, I just can't. It's just not my thing.
Now just know there is an entire ass industry of this in Japan, and a lot of the biggest anime out there, like Steins Gate, are from this medium.
I hate that.
It is about it is as much of a literary medium in Japan for storytelling that gets adapted to the anime as light novels and manga are.
I hate that. Ugh.
It's part of why I wanted to do this in the first place. I knew it was a dramatically different medium, but we've covered every other medium that like gets adapted to anime.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, maybe it's just the lack of even the illusion of a choice that's making it the absolute worst. 'Cause like, I don't know. I want to do more than just click through a preset auto. Like, I mean, I would have gotten the same experience by just clicking autoplay.
Well, then it's controlling the pace of your reading.
Yeah,
I know that works less for you.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't have ever clicked autoplay.
Like that's why I'm like, would it really be better if you, outside of expectations of gameplay, which I keep telling you not to expect gameplay.
You can't expect me not to expect something from a PlayStation game that costs like that much
So
money.
this was originally on the PC.
I expect even more from a PC game.
That's where most visual novels are published. Where else do you think? Where the fuck else will this be published if not PC or on a console?
I don't know. Actually, you know what? This might have been more tolerable on a computer.
Which on the Holy Knights got ported to Steam.
I'm gonna be real. This actually might have been more tolerable on a computer, because at least on a computer I have experience sitting at things and just kind of like clicking through them like that. Whereas when I'm sat back with a PlayStation controller, automatically I have a different set of expectations and desires.
If I had known
like,
this
this
from the
might
start,
have been
I would
easier
have
for me to just.
I would have just gifted you the Witch on the Holy Knights Steam port.
You can always try again. With something else. I mean, obviously not with Witch on the Holy Night.
Yeah.
Because there are some aspects of Witch on the Holy Night that are quite interesting. And I mean, like we talked about it last time, like I love the fight scenes in Chapter 5. They were fucking great. Like some really good special effects and stuff for what's essentially just like a flip book. You know?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Maybe I would have reacted differently if I was just kind of sitting on a computer going... Because I have a lot of experience with computer games where all I have to do is click...
Okay, if I want to like try to put out whatever fire might be brewing amongst our fans about your reaction to this, I should also say off the bat that Seki has expressed to me multiple times before that it's hard for her to sit in front of a game console and play games for hours on end.
It is. Like, I've streamed on the channel a few times for, like, extended amounts of time, but I actually don't find it easy to play games for an extended amount of time unless I have another person there with me, either playing or interacting with me, because I don't find it comfortable to sit in one position and, like, play a game for longer than, like, honestly, probably 3 hours is, like, my typical max. Like, 3 hours. Streaming things helps because I can interact with chat, right? Or I can invite a friend along or do something else like that. But the only times that I've actually managed to, like, play a game for longer than, like, 3 hours in a row without just walking away and coming back a few hours later is when it was, like, over last winter break, and my friends and I were playing Baldur's Gate for, like, 72 hours straight, basically. But once again, I was literally on a Discord call with them. We were actively playing at the same time together in the same area, but on different games, so we were, like, interacting and talking. And it's uncomfortable. Like, I jitter, like I move a lot, and then my desk chair also is not comfortable for, like, super long extended periods. I don't think any desk chair is long if you're going to be sat in it, or any desk chair is comfortable if you're going to be sat in it for that fucking long, you know? Especially if you're like me and you're, like, jittering, and then, like, my knees lock up or my ankles start to hurt, or, like, I gotta get up to, like, go get a drink or something. I'm just not very good at sitting still in one place and just doing one thing for longer than, like, 2-3 hours max, unless I have another person there actively engaging with me. Like, I need that second thing to be doing for me to actually be able to just, like, sit and play. So, I mean, yeah, like, first of all, a game that I kind of have to just, like, sit and binge through is not ideal.
You're fighting both the reading part of your brain that wants to just be binging this and the gaming part of your brain that's like, I want to get up and get out of here.
Yeah, like we've discussed it before, because I find it really, to me it's amazing that, like, Knickknack's able to, like, sit and game for, like, a whole day, you know? But
whole day, no. The difference is I only game for, like, 2-3 hours at max.
Yeah.
And that's at max. Sometimes it's only, like, 15 minutes to an hour.
Yeah.
That's because I was trained at a young age by my parents not to binge game. But I'm a lot more able to pick things up and put them down and come
Mhm.
back to them later.
Like Realm's able to just sit there and game like all day. I could not most of the time. Like I said, I've literally only done that once, and it was for Baldur's Gate, and it was in the context of playing with my friends. You know, it's just not something that my brain and the way that like I want to be active handles well. So like, because I even have this problem playing on PlayStation. Like I can play a game for like 2 or 3 hours, and then I gotta be done. You know? Like, I gotta go. I gotta be done. I gotta get up. I gotta go do something else.
But when you're in reading mode and you're like, to be invested, I gotta keep going.
Oh, yeah, no. Give me a book. Put me down somewhere comfy. It doesn't even have to be that comfy. I'll go for like 12 hours. Like, I won't even come up for air.
So what you're saying is the visual novel medium is the equivalent of a tornado with positive and negative, was it positive and negative electrical currents in the air?
No, it's
Scientist man, give us your STEM knowledge.
tornadoes and hurricanes are more of the collision between
hot and cold air.
That's
air.
right.
At different heights colliding. Yeah.
See, poli-sci, not science. Our president, one of our presidents at one point proposed nuking a hurricane. So, like, you can't expect much out of politics people.
I mean, it would work. I won't say about the after
Until
effect.
the nuclear radiation spread radiated rain over a significant portion of the United States.
I can't say about the after effects, like I said.
Yeah, no, I think I probably would have had less expectations if I'd done it on the computer, right? Because I have played just point and click through games on the computer right before.
Trade wins.
Hey, that's a trading sim. And unlike Trade Winds, the Witch on the Holy Night UI is not trying to actively murder you.
Yeah.
Like, man, I was getting worked up in that. That's the other thing that'll keep me playing a game. If I'm actively being frustrated over something that I know I can do, I will keep going.
See, now I gotta do two things. The first thing I gotta do is get you into a visual novel that's a lot more interactive and teeters closer toward, like Ace Attorney teeters closer towards a point and click adventure.
Yeah.
The other thing I have to do is get you into an actually shitty visual novel with little production value in it.
You just put me on the computer and see how well I do.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's possible. Also, the other thing is, and maybe this is just the way that I set up my PC and gaming, sometimes it takes me longer to read stuff in Witch on the Holy Night because I'm sat further back from my screen, whereas when I'm on my computer, I'm sat a lot closer and I kind of just move a lot faster.
Yeah, I mean, look, I guess I'll give you two ways of going about this one, since after we finish up the last part of Witch on the Holy Night, the next one's going to be Ace Attorney. Would you rather have a Switch tablet in your hands reading like this, or would you rather be on the computer?
Probably the computer.
Okay, I'll just find it on sale or something and gift it to you at some point.
Yeah, if it's on sale, you know, if it's not on sale, I'll play it on Switch.
Those games tend to drop in price, I'm pretty sure,
Yeah.
so I should be fine.
Yeah.
But,
Because believe me, a good deal will endear me better to a game than any medium. Like if y'all get that game for like $2.99 and it was like a $40 game, it doesn't matter how bad the game is. I'm happy.
Oh no! I know as the provider of the provider of the shelf on these two visual novels, I need to make sure you have the means of reading it. So I'll work it out when we're ready to do it.
But anyways, yeah. So like the medium was not ideal for me, and I don't think it ever would be in the context of like playing it on PlayStation. There are other possibilities. Like one of the ones you gave me was remote play.
Yeah.
But even on my phone, sometimes one of the things I've been struggling with more and more is doing anything on my phone causes me to be overtly distracted at all times because I get notifications from friends and I get notifications from other apps and you know it's something I'm struggling with right now as it is.
So what I'm hearing here is I just need to give you the list of all the extra stuff that opens up after the credits and just hand you my Switch for a week.
What on Witch on the Holy Night?
Yeah, because that's where I've been reading it.
There's not a lot of stuff in the credits, right?
Okay, so first thing, we haven't really talked about the content yet. I need to know what you read and what you did. Did you still go into the extras menu after every chapter?
Yeah.
Okay, so you got I believe there's 2 more Wonderful Worlds of Ploys. A short story involving Togo.
Okay.
and then the big mystery extra side
which
story.
is the thing where you actually get to make a decision.
Yeah.
I'm actually excited for that, which is why we're not going to discuss it today.
No, because you haven't done that yet.
Nope, but I'm excited for it.
But so let's get into the story that we did cover today.
Yeah.
Let's move away from the medium as much as we can.
Yeah. I'm so confused. I feel like maybe I'm just like, I don't know. I feel like I'm missing something. It didn't feel completed to me. Like I feel like I read like 3/4 of a novel, and then it stopped. And where it stopped wasn't like a bad place, but it's like where you'd stop a novel when you know it's going to be a duology or a trilogy.
Okay.
Or more
so
books.
Tell me right now ahead of time. Like, don't lie. You can even edit this out if you want. Did you look anything up about this?
No.
Witch on the Holy Night, the visual novel, is a remake of an actual, like one of the first unpublished novels of Nasu.
Uh-huh.
But for the visual novel, he took the first act of it, and there's still 2 acts, and fans are waiting for 2 sequels.
Well, it was evident in the storytelling.
That's why it ends on kind of a vague things continue onwards note, because life does continue, and there is going to be more stuff with it eventually.
See, I was wondering, because I was like, this doesn't feel complete, right? Like, I don't feel like I've seen these characters to the completion of their stories to, like, my satisfaction. But at the same time, I mean, it's not an awful end. Like, I could see this being the end point for a chunk of a larger story. You know what I mean?
Oh, well, I've seen it likened to this is Star Wars: A New Hope of like a trilogy. Like it works as a standalone, but obviously there's still more to the story.
Yeah.
Is that about right for you?
Yeah, because I was like, I feel like more could be like, I feel like I'm missing some information. More could have been done. I feel like from the way I've heard you talk about some of these characters, I feel like there's a lot more known about them than I was actually shown. Or like people have more connection to them than I would think you would get from just this game.
So the characters do reappear, and we've actually covered everywhere where a lot of these characters reappear already.
Because they're now in FGO, I know that.
So Aoko. Remember in Tsukihime, the guy that gives the main characters glasses?
Mm-hmm.
That's Aoko.
Oh, okay.
Toko, main villain, you've met her, Garden of Sinners, Lord Elmwood case files, multiple times.
Yeah.
She comes up either helping the Pyros or being an absolute douchebag.
Yeah. I remember that.
And here's a fun one, and this is like actually getting into huge story spoilers. We might have to actually. Do you want me to double back on like the big, weird, crazy one that you definitely wouldn't have noticed?
Sure.
Okay, let's. So.
Be warned, Fate fans. Spoilers.
So where we start the story is like immediately following it. Sojiro gets voluntold to live in the mansion with Aoko and Alice because they need to wipe his memory.
Okay.
That's more slice of life. I assume that's where like the biggest problems with the medium hit, because that's where it's all slice of life there.
Yeah.
Like Sojiro adjusting to the mansion. Sojiro going.
And let
through
me
the
tell
life.
you, nothing makes slice of life drag more than having to read it at Mach -10. I mean, I'm de-exaggerating on the speed, but like, damn, man, slice of life is already not great. You know, I think I had the most enjoyment of slice of life when it was just Alice and Toko.
I don't know.
Is it Toko?
It's
Toko?
Aoko.
Aoko.
I actually really like the slice of life segments here, and part of that is just because I love seeing Alice and Aoko being like, "What the fuck is wrong with you all the time?" to him, or yes, you're doing things right, but also fuck you.
But like, he provides them a reason for them to like get along and agree.
Yeah.
I kind of like it when they're a little bit more at odds and snarky to one another. Like, I kind of like it when they're like taking some like smaller pot shots at one another. Like, that's more enjoyable to me because I like them more as characters than I like him as a character. And maybe that's just because of what I've seen in this, like, 13 chapters, you know, as opposed to all of the stuff about it. Vorn has a question for you.
Which one? Home or Pro?
Realm sent me a link to Pro.
Got it.
I'll work with you later if I need to.
Yeah, no, good.
But,
Yeah.
Sorry, I lost my train of thought there.
I was mentioning that perhaps the reason why I don't like what's his face as much is because I haven't seen a whole ton of him comparatively.
He is purposely the most unassumingly, like, supposedly normal character.
But I don't want a normal character.
But he's not. Like, everyone's
Yeah.
underestimating how much of, like, an actual pulled out of the wilderness kid he is.
I feel like they really should have played into that more. I wanted this moron being like, lights. like I know that's not realistic, but like I need this man to go like full raised by the wolves.
I mean, he did a lot of that in the first part that we did.
Apparently I'm not charging.
It's like we actually get a fair bit of that in like the first part, but like by the time we get into the second half, he's adjusting, and the weird shit is like the weird conundrum here is the magic shit, the witch shit, is just as new to him as just straight up new technology in modern living.
Yeah.
So it's like that's kind of it's interesting for me to see his development on that regard, where he treats everything as just yeah, that's how it is.
Yeah, this is totally normal. Excuse me. Yeah, this is totally normal. I have no reason to suspect that girls don't randomly commit magical acts, so obviously it's totally normal. That is a little funny.
Like it's funny to see him underestimate and devalue what they do, and then they look at him and underestimate what he actually can do. Oh, are we recording still?
Yeah. Okay.
Was something up?
Yeah, for some reason the screen flickered a few times.
Just keep an eye on it.
Yeah.
Like one of the scenes everybody remembers in like the for specific reasons in FGO right now is the scene where they catch him with his shirt off and they're like, "What the fuck? How did you hide that under there?"
Obviously, anime powers. You know? Just anime powers. That's how you hide that shit.
It's like I like that aspect of Sojiro where he is the literal most unassuming motherfucker on the planet. And I feel like it plays well into the idea of you would not assume witches either looking at people normally.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. I think maybe I just like Alice and Owlco better overall. You know what I mean?
Fair. I think
because like I enjoyed them more. Like I enjoyed parts of the story that included just them more than the stuff that included Sojiro. Shojiro? Is it Sojiro or Shojiro?
It's Sojiro.
Sojiro. Okay. Yeah. Like it's like his portions of the story weren't bad. They made sense a lot of the time, right? When he gets dragged in, like when he's kind of like, oh, this is just it makes sense.
But he's our slice of life character, and those are the slowest sections for you.
Yeah, I like the stuff. I like when things are happening, and I like how sassy the girls are to one another. You know, and this kind of like love-hate rivalry. Like I'm gonna murder you and everyone you love, but like also let's go get food together. You know.
One of my favorite scenes, and this is towards the end of the slice of life section, is when they just go to the aquarium, and they're like, they just have a chill day there.
Yeah! My God, everyone should go to an aquarium with their friends. It's fucking great.
I love that Alice is just like, I wanted to see, was it penguin? I wanted to see the penguins.
Don't you mean
Leviathans?
penguins?
That's one of my favorites, like, just slice of life scenes right there.
Mm-hmm. That's fair.
My other, like, if I'm picking a favorite, like, Sojiro slice of life scene, it's that, like, that conversation he has in one of the side chapters, I think it's the chapter 7 with Komari, about, was it Martha, the bird, the carrier pigeon? That section, like, that hurts me when I read it.
I can see why.
It's a very, I don't want to say touching story, but it's a very, like...
I mean, for a given value of touching in this visual novel, it is touching, you know? Anything emotional is always appreciated when they can hit enough notes to actually make you, like, feel even a little bit, you know?
Yeah. Well, for me, like, obviously I know the medium doesn't work with you. But for me, where the medium was working...
This would have been great as an anime.
When the medium was working, I love that they hit you, like, with this very, very heavy story. Like, that's like supposed to be pushing Sojiro to empathize more with this like bluebird that's buzzing around the apartment, last of his kind. He goes there and the bluebird's just like, hey, and speaks in like the most like crude, was it British Cockney?
Yeah, I think so.
Accent, and is like the absolute like sleaziest motherfucker on the planet.
Yeah, you gotta love that. This beloved character, we feel such empathy towards him. You alright? You cunt out!
Yeah, exactly. That bird is just, I think I've said this before in our, like when we covered Alice a little bit doing nursery rhyme.
Yeah.
I love that bird.
Yeah, you did say that, because burb. That makes sense. Because I remember we talked about Alice during we had
nursery.
to.
Yeah. Well, we didn't have to, but it felt like a good spot.
We kind of had to.
Yeah.
When you're shoehorning in random fate stuff that doesn't have a specific
home
place, you know, that person who's asking for Emiya videos.
There's a place for Emiya, let me say that.
Yeah, there's a place for Emiya. Is it currently in the schedule? I do not know.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
But
so the Arrow Ace Brit, there will be an Emiya video.
Where was I at here? I think I've lost my train of thought. I guess while we're on the topic of the reacts, just because I know we said we'd be doing it in this one, but we're not. We'll look at the Alice, Aoko, and Sojiro servants once we've done the bonus stuff, because that's just going to become our part 3 miscellaneous shit video.
Yeah. It's also, I mean, it's kind of the part I'm most excited for. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm actually really interested in the bonus stuff. More so than the actual story. Because I feel like, in my opinion, and obviously you can, like, laugh off to the side if this isn't true, but I find that when any sort of story offers bonus content, right? Whether that be a game, a movie, a book, you know, whatever, or fan fiction, like, when anything offers bonus content, typically the bonus content is usually engaging enough to provide me with insights and information I didn't already have from the story directly, and often can provide sort of send-offs for characters who might not have gotten them, you know?
You know, I can agree with that.
And so, retroactively, I find that bonus content often makes me feel better about the rest of something because of that. Because it's just like, here's a bunch of added extra information. We didn't have to give it to you, but we did, and now you can benefit from it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I can understand that.
Yeah. It's one of the reasons why I love it so much when, like, people who write, like, fantasy books come out with, like, the, you know, like, the history books about the fantasy world, like The Guide to Allegasia, or, like, you know, the background novels about the history of Middle-earth, you know? Or, you know, to an extent, I know if anyone in the comments is, like, super anti-Rowling, and I get it. I don't like her, but, like, Hogwarts Legacy gave us new information about the world of Hogwarts.
I could say where I got that recently, because we're not covering it in the video as much as I'm sure people will bring it up. The collab recently takes 2 characters that were obviously never going to be fleshed out in the sequels and gave them a huge character arc for Witch on the Holy Night. It was, do you know Sojiro's 2 male friends that he's always hanging around, the vice president and
Yeah.
I forget his name.
Yeah.
We actually get to know where pretty much everybody ends up like 10 years after the visual novel.
Oh, see, I like that. I like 10 years later stuff.
Yeah, and it's really touching to see that kind of thing, I think.
Yeah, so I don't know. I'm actually quite excited for the epilogue content and, like, the bonus content. Because, to be honest, I mean, it could partially change my opinion on some parts of the story, you know? Like, it might make me feel better about Sojiro, you know, or I might say, hey, look, I got to make a choice, make a decision based on... Because I know that there's a choice-based element at the end somewhere. And so maybe, if I get to make that choice, I'll feel a little bit better about all the fucking reading I did with no choices. You know what I mean? Because then I'll be like, aha, I have accomplished something. And that'll kind of transfer backwards onto my experience. So you never know.
But obviously we don't stick in that slice of life section forever.
No.
Eventually, like, while they're at the aquarium, you get Sojiro getting to have a one-on-one conversation with fucking Toko.
Yeah.
And, like, I love that scene. It's like, you know something's happening, like, gonna happen.
Something's up.
Like, they even played the nature documentary of the animal, like, going after its prey in there, if I remember.
Oh, yeah. It's like you were expecting the Jaws theme to start playing.
Yeah.
Da-na, da-na, da-na-na-na-na-na.
And that's just kind of the point where everything goes to shit.
Downhill. Straight downhill. Rolling boulder. Absolute carnage.
It was hard for me to read. It was hard for you to read for different reasons, I'm sure. It was hard for me to read, basically Alice being mauled by dogs, and our new character, Bale, Beowulf, the last werewolf.
Yeah, no, not okay. Not okay. That was like the equivalent of the kitten in the beginning.
It's just like, you don't do that. And then you cut to Aliko, who has been off-screen brutalized even more, to the point where like, they're saying the body was enough to make Sojiro, of all people, just sick to his stomach.
Don't you just love a little bit of casual gore in your stories?
A little. It was a good oh shit for a moment here, I think.
Well, yeah, because you went from, like, arguably up to that point, everything had been kind of inconsequential? Like, not to say that the Chapter 5 fight was inconsequential, but it didn't really have consequences, per se. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then you, to get to, you know, you go into the slice of life and you're like, oh, it's a happy and slice of life, and they're at the aquarium, and then they're like, oh god, war crimes. Explicit war crimes. Gory and violent war crimes. To the two characters you liked the most. Mm-hmm. You know, you liked Alice and Aliko? Let's just brutalize them.
Well, it's just, if you're reading this for the first time, I feel like Alice, of all, especially, you don't really know if she's going to live that or not.
Yeah, no, it's not good. It's not good. I was like, I read that part and I was like, damn, now Sojiro, you gotta go beat the fuck up out of this man. You gotta go kill this dude. This is your only option. Like, you are now on a revenge quest. And you'd better fucking figure it out. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It's like, obviously, you must now go on a revenge quest to kill all of these people.
Yeah. I think the final battle for me, like with Sojiro and Beowulf, is as a moment, it's just like, where was that the entire time?
Right, like, what the fuck did he pull that out of?
Which,
our fucking moron who's like, oh, yeah, women do magic. Oh, yeah, totally, phones work like that.
I love the random, like, throwaway line that you don't think is consequential, where it's just like, so where Aliko just asked Sojiro, do you have to train to fight bears? He's like, are you teasing me? And you think he's saying, are you teasing me, like she's stereotyping him?
Right.
No, are you teasing me because that's a literal, like,
thing.
That we're not, that
yeah,
we're, like, that is nothing that we have to worry about.
Yeah, like, bears? Ah, that's child's play. I'm out here training things I can a whoop ass. I choose the bear.
We are not talking about that right now.
But it was a funny reference.
Oh my god.
Come on. Yeah, it's a funny reference. Look, I miss out on so much stuff in the zeitgeist. I can make a joke every once in a while.
I won't be honest here. I think people across the board are getting too worked up about that meme to the point. I'm seeing, like, the reaction images that come out. I'm like, oh my god, that's actually a funny spin. Oh wait, people are mad about that?
No, it's way out of...
It got out of control.
Yeah, it was funny for a while.
Yeah.
Now I'm just like, I can make the joke casually with friends, but that's about it.
Yeah, you can cut this if you want.
It's fine. It's fine. I get to bask in the one relevant reference I've made.
You see, Toko chose the bear.
Oh, that gets you canceled. Because the bear's predictable. We can't. And then, no, we're moving on. We're moving on. Final fight with Beowulf. Oh my god.
Sojiro found Beowulf predictable.
Yeah. Predictable enough to absolutely body him.
I love that they add a little, like, line after, like, Sojiro didn't really body Beowulf, but Beowulf wasn't even ready for, like, the inch of pushback that he got.
Exactly. which is perfect. That is the perfect thing for him to be. Unprepared. Because we love it when a protagonist just absolutely throws the smackdown on another person who's definitely way more powerful, but just underestimated them so badly that it's comedic. You know?
Mm-hmm. Then Sojiro dies.
Yeah.
Like Toko's like, nope.
And just when I was starting to like him.
Then the final scene is like, the last like part of the action scene is the Aoko versus Toko, like the big Aoko versus Toko fight where Aoko does her fifth magic and becomes her future self.
Yeah. I mean, once again, great fucking fight scenes.
Yeah.
They're really engaging to watch. And I think the dialogue maybe shines the brightest in the fight scenes and the conflicts. It's certainly it's either the situation that they're in or the way that the dialogue is written is just better when the conflicts are actively happening than in like just the normal everyday stuff. So I enjoy the fights more than anything else. But maybe that's just a factor of the fights feel like the time when the most is happening. You know, like visually and in terms of like character
development. The fights are one
development.
of 2 moments where I can actually autoplay it and like be more or less satisfied. Because I like seeing the animations play out with the music on a certain pacing.
Exactly. Like it just feels like a really nice like cutscene or something to me. And so it's a lot more enjoyable, which means that maybe, you know, I like that more than the slice of life in general because I'm like, ooh, let me just enjoy this experience of this person getting absolutely fucking nuked, you know? Or someone absolutely underestimating someone else and absolutely getting nuked, you know? You know, and then a character ends up dead and you're like, oh shit. Just saw a cool fight scene. Guess it wasn't that cool. Yeah. And I mean, like I said, I like Alice and Aoko, so anything with them I enjoy.
Then a character ends up alive again.
Look, I can't... Did you know people don't die when they're killed?
Not in Fate. That's actually, or not in Type Moon, but that's the literal concept of Fate, is that these people who should be dead are still alive, or come back to life.
I know, but then you've got people die when they are killed.
Nope.
Nope.
But the implication there is like, it makes the death inconsequential to the story.
Mm-hmm.
But the implication there is that it's not inconsequential to the universe. That like
Yeah,
this is going to in the future come back to bite Aoko.
Yeah. The fact, which once again feels, and then you hit the ending, and it feels like you've watched part 1 of a greater story, or like 3/4 of an end story. You know, like you've gotten a story. But it's not...
I think as far as like the character-driven story, like the character arcs, I do feel like the character arcs reach their conclusion for the story being told here.
For the story that's being presented, but the story that's being presented isn't complete.
This isn't like there's not like a bookend on the story, like this is where the story ends.
But I mean, once again, the story itself doesn't feel complete, and even if the characters... Even the character arcs that feel completed to the plot we've seen is obviously not the whole story.
Yeah.
And so you know that the characters' arcs aren't complete.
But
even
also,
if they're as complete as they could be.
I don't think they're as complete as they could be. But I do think that this is supposed to be more of a character-driven story, more so than the actual, like... Because I want to be honest, right, the actual overarching story, that's where one of my criticisms is like, the entire time, it's just like, we need to figure out who's intruding on us. And then, like, towards the last act, oh, it's Toko.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't think there was actually that much story build up. It's all character-driven, all about the arcs they're going through in these events.
Yeah. But because we know we're going to see them again, we know there's going to be more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you didn't. You just felt like that doesn't feel like the end of the story.
Look, I wasn't going to say anything, but, you know... I don't necessarily look at Fate and go, ooh, completed, well-done stories available constantly.
No, I can see why.
I mean, it took 3 years to watch through all the routes available of Fate's Stay Night.
And they're all like standalone stories that don't include the entire picture.
Yeah, and they all feel incomplete in some way or another. Like, you feel like you're missing something in all of them.
I think that's the thing. There's a lot of the stories that Nostra writes, and because of the visual novel medium, either going multi-route or in this case just because multi-part. This is not the visual novel medium. Like the Fate Stay Night and Tsukihime doing multi-route, that's more of a typical visual novel medium.
Mm-hmm.
Because of that, Nasu tends to write more character-focused stories focused around the development of the characters and the actual overarching storyline and all the lore details. That's stuff that's not necessarily as important, I don't think.
That makes sense.
So then, yeah, and then after that, there's the casual afterwards. I'll get to like the big like crazy connection. I know you didn't. I know for a fact you didn't make a minute ago.
Yeah.
Or you didn't make earlier. But first, I want to go over the other thing that I can actually sit and auto play through, and I like get a kick out of it. The Wonderful World of Ploys. What are your thoughts on those fever dreams?
I like them.
I love them.
I like fever. I like any sort of like fever dream concept because I think it's. I've had enough fever dreams of my own at various times that I can enjoy seeing other people's demented minds think up funky things to happen. You know.
I just love like the little like the kindergarten drawn art style they switched to, and and then obviously more.
Hey,
Alice and
petition!
Robin.
Do the entire Witch and the Holy Night on that kindergarten art style.
Fan remake of the entire thing in that
Yes.
art style. Hell yeah!
Would be here for that.
But yeah, I think those are fun. There's still a couple more of those.
Yeah.
So the big like I know Type Moon fans have made this a minute ago, but you know the line. There's a line towards the end when Sojiro's confronting Aoko's grandfather, and Aoko's grandfather's like, 10. Your name has the word 10 in it. That implies the existence of 9 more. He says that to him.
Mm-hmm.
We've met one of those 9 before.
Was it in the movie series?
So Juro, Ju 10. Let's go back to 1. So Ichiro is Medea's master.
So yeah.
So if that gives you a little context as what's going on with Sojuro is a trained assassin.
Uh-huh.
And that's kind of like... Sojiro's, a lot of his plots sort of read between the lines for this. He's a trained assassin. The implication is that he didn't know what he was being trained for early in life, found out, and then that's what the scar around his neck is he tried to kill himself.
Mm-hmm.
So they kicked him out. And that's why he joined the town and is adjusting to actual life. And that's why, like, when they cut back the flowers, that's because either that's somewhere he went or where he tried to kill himself outright was in a field of flowers.
Oh, interesting.
So just that's a little wrinkle that like I only ever got that on reread.
So I should be looking for Nichiro.
So Sanshiro. So Yonshiro.
So
Gochiro. Yes. No, they haven't appeared yet.
Well, yeah, I figured they hadn't, or you would have mentioned them, but
I love that, like, just random connection that, like, they're never going to outright say it, I don't think.
Mm-hmm.
But it's there if you're looking.
Well, why would they? Because if they didn't intend to do it, you've all worked yourself up into a frenzy over something that actually makes the story better, and if they did intend to do it, if they confirm it, people will just be like, haha, I knew it, and then other people will be like, that doesn't make sense. If you leave it completely unconfirmed, everyone believes it's true, and yet the doubters have nothing to say because technically it is not actually a thing.
But that's also why Sojiro could, like, suddenly roll up and body a fucking werewolf.
Yeah, that would actually make sense then. Yeah. Because, like, what kind of training do you do out in the woods that just allows you to, like, fucking take out a werewolf? Not any sort of training I know.
Training to be the most efficient killer possible.
Yeah.
We actually... I'll save that for... We'll do, like, the... I'll cover, like, the stuff we find out in, like, the collab when we cover the servants in FGO. That's where I'll go over some of that extra shit with Sojiro, Aoko, and Alice.
Okay. Interesting.
So, yeah, I thought you might find that fact, because you remember Soichiro.
Yep, I remember Soichiro. Because he's the one with the Artoria collection.
And that's Medea has that, and he's the one that has Medea.
Yeah.
Best husbando.
Yeah. So many Artorias. All of the Artorias.
So, yeah, that covers Witch on the Holy Night for what we read up to.
Yeah.
We'll be back next time with a couple more, we'll be covering all the extra shit outside of the collab.
I suppose I should clarify now if anyone's hanging out to the end. If I was to like rate this on like Steam or something, I wouldn't give it an absolute 0.
High praise.
I mean, I'd probably give it like a 3 out of 5 or something. You know, because it would be a 3 out of 5 instead of like 4 or higher. I'd probably like leave some sort of comment that was like, didn't really like the gameplay, but the story itself is quite interesting and engaging and has a lot of connections to like greater universe lore.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, in any case where something is part of a greater universe lore, I can really overlook a lot of what I don't like about a gameplay or a medium because it's part of this overarching lore and this grander thing that I actually do enjoy. And at this point, you've browbeaten me into liking Fate enough that I could easily find myself rating this like a 3 or a 4 out of 5. You know, if I were to give it like a star rating on like Steam. And then just explaining my reasoning for that.
So what you're saying is I can give you Tsukihime when it comes out in a month.
I'd rather you didn't. Nasty. I mean, Tsukihime wasn't the worst.
The visual novel, they're remaking the visual novel and they're bringing it over towards the end of June.
Mm-hmm.
We're actually getting it in the US finally. And they're doing, I will say this, I am happy they're bringing over these visual novels now. Like 3 years ago, we had 0 visual novels.
No, far be it for me. I absolutely support the idea of like more translated like games and stories. I like, even if I don't like the medium, you should absolutely keep supporting it and like to support like the bringing over of the content, because if people don't support it, it won't happen.
Yeah, I'm glad they're bringing it over because 3 years ago, we had none of them. Mm-hmm. By the end of this year, we're going to have Mahotsukai no Yoru, Tsukihime, and Fate Stay Night all in English, translated officially.
A Fate Stay Night with the roots and everything?
You
should give me that to play.
We'll see if I can. I don't know if they're going to do a physical release. They do. I'll lend that to you, and we'll see what we do from there. And we'll do one route at a time or something.
Well, no, because that's the sort of thing. If you're picking routes, you get to make choices.
Fate and Tsukihime are both have choices.
Yeah.
So you on that level you might jive more, but first I want to put you through Ace Attorney to maybe train you more for visual novels.
Baby's first visual novel.
Literally, that's what it is.
But yeah.
So yeah, we'll see you guys next time.